Great news, everyone. Our MVP is a total success. Many travelers are using our application ahead of the trip to Mandalore in order to find their space train. Although it's suffering from its success because a lot of travelers end up just showing up at the spaceport only to be told that all the space trains are already full.
Yeah, I would like to meet the mastermind who thought that an MVP which only displays the next schedule without the possibility of booking them will cause no frustration to users.
Well, now that it's already a great success, we can actually start implementing this booking feature. So we can brainstorm a bit on the front end, see how we can change it. So here we have the outbound space train and the inbound space train that match our search criteria. I was thinking maybe
You're talking too much. Since I know you made bad choices for the MVP, I already implemented the booking feature and it is up and running in production.
You did what?
It's set up too. I simply have implemented the feature everyone was waiting for. I don't know why you put it away, because it was really easy to implement. I will do a little demonstration. So this is our search form, remember?
Oh, nice. You didn't touch anything. You had me
Yeah,
worried.
because the change comes after. Let me show you. So here, you can say that you want to do a one-way or round-trip search. Let's say we depart from Coruscant, and we want to go to Mandalore, obviously.
Obviously.
But now, when you hit search, you no longer see at the same time outbound and inbound space train. You only see outbound space train, and for each of them, now you have to choose between two fares, first class or second class. So let's say here, I would like to travel with first class fare. You see it has populated, oh, okay. It has populated the selection panel here on the right.
Yeah, what I see is mostly that you did deploy something that doesn't work because we can't even click the book button.
That's normal, man, because I asked for a round trip, so I have to select a return. That's why here, the rest of the UI has changed and display me some inbound space trains to select.
And you have the choice between two space trains at the busiest time of the year?
Because these are the only one compatible with my selection. Can I show you, or you want to criticize everything?
No, okay, go on.
Okay. So let's say I want to go back to second class fare, and now you see my selection is complete, so I'm able to book. And by doing so, my trip is ready. You can see here the first class fare for the outbound. I no longer have any mic. And the second class, there's some, okay. And second class fare for the return. Okay, and you also see here the total price, which include the taxes for our users.
Okay, I'm kind of impressed, I have to admit. You did manage to make some code that compiled.
It does more than compiling. This is working.
Yeah, we'll make a quick review and we'll see that.
Okay, you can call that first. So let me check out my BBOM branch first.
Why would you call that BBOM?
Because this is the best backend of Mandalore, obviously.
Are you sure it's not because it's a big ball of mud?
Why?
I mean, look here, you have one domain, right?
Yeah.
And in one domain you have both booking and search. Clearly, these are two very different responsibilities. On top of this, the booking happens after the search, so the life cycle is completely disjointed. When you have something like this, you need to go microservices.
Microservices?
This is the way.
Are you mad? You just have seen data to one talk, and now you think you're the expert. It doesn't make sense here, because booking and search are way too coupled together. And also, here the booking does only one thing. It computes the total price. It doesn't deserve its own microservice just for that.
I mean, it does only one thing, but clearly it does it wrong. I no longer have sunny side. That's good. So to compute the total price of the booking, you add for each space train the price of the first of the fares. What the hell does that even mean, the first of the fares?
Okay. I'll explain you. You know I'm a 10x Mandalorian, right?
This again.
So I know how to code fast. So here you can see that the booking used internally a space train class. But that class was made first for the search, which is why here I have a list of fares. Remember, you have to choose between first and second class. When I had to implement the booking feature, I also have to represent the space train, remember the booking summary page.
Yep.
But in that case, I only have one fare, the one that has been selected. Since I don't want to reinvent the wheel again, and I simply have everything I need here, I simply have to do a little adaptation here, because I know in the case of the fare, I will have a single element in that list, so I can call safely first, and saving a lot of money from the company.
Oh, safely, because what could go wrong, presuming you have only one element in the list? No, you said it yourself. The space train was made for the search, which is a completely different problem. And this is a booking. This is called a model tension that you have here. And let me explain you why you're not a 10x Mandalorian, because you just end up letting me do 90% of your job. So the space train here, what would it be in the case of a booking microservice? Bound, we don't need it. We already selected the space train we want. Compatible space train, neither. We already selected it once again. The fare, we need only one because we've already selected it too. And actually, you know what? Everything that's inside the class, we don't need it either because this is related to the search. So in a booking microservice, the space train is a lot more focused and a lot more simple. But most importantly here, you can remove this model tension and have actual structural safety.
Okay, so if I understand well, you want us to duplicate the whole code of the application to go microservices to simplify a single line of code there?
It's not about a line of code, it's about model coherency. Okay, let me explain you with a graph. As you can see, here is your big ball of mud, right? Your spaghetti monolith. And within the spaghetti monolith, you have a second model, an implicit one for the booking, which is very tightly coupled to the search. So you'll want to duplicate the concepts that are bound to the booking and move them to another microservice. And only then you can have decoupling between the two models.
Oh, I can see you're an architect.
Thank you.
Because with you guys, it always compiled on paper, but in production, this is another story.
This is such a cliche.
It's not a cliche because here you don't know the domain, so you cannot. Okay, I will show you through the code that why it doesn't work. So if I understand, you want all the concepts from here we have inside the application. Okay, so
you can just speak loud.
to be duplicated, right, and specialized like what you did for the space train for the booking.
Exactly.
Can you explain me how you will specialize the schedule for the booking?
Sure. So, okay, we still need the departure time, obviously. We'll still need the arrival time. The duration is still the duration between the departure and the arrival.
You still have to make sure that departure is after now because you don't want to book train in the past.
True.
And also that arrival time is after departure because I think a great architect, we didn't invent time travel yet.
Okay, you have one class that's going to be the same in two microservices. I think we'll survive.
No, it's not one class because unlike you, I'm writing stuff that are called tests. And that thing, you will have to duplicate it as well.
You understood very well what I meant. It's one concept that's the same.
No, it's not one concept. This is the rest of the application. But since you don't know it, you cannot guess it. But I mean, here, I will show you. So we were on the schedule, remember? Then here we have the fare. In the fare, we have comfort class, first, second. Perhaps you become blue and yellow in the case of the booking.
No, obviously not.
Obviously not. And then what do we have? The price, an amount and currency. Some of them will disappear for the booking?
No.
No. Here we have the ability to sum prices, and if we do, make sure that the currencies match. Okay, sure, you would like to keep it as well. Currency, list of currencies. Perhaps you want some to appear on the search and the other not on the booking.
No, it stays the same.
Yeah. And finally, here we have the amount. And there's only one thing. It makes sure that the value is strictly positive. But perhaps Mr. wants that to be negative in the case of the booking, so we pay our travelers to travel with us. Okay. Great marketing campaign, your microservices.
I get your point. There's a lot of duplication. But it's a trade-off. This is the price to pay for decoupling.
This is not a trade-off when you pay twice the application. Your microservices fanboy, you always make the same mistakes because you thought that by duplicating stuff, you earn decoupling.
I mean,
But that's just a schema, man. Because in our case, schedule, price, comfort, class, and fares are exactly the same. So you cannot be sure in the future you won't have to do some evolution on both sides for the same concept. For example, galactic time zones. You know it's a pain in the ass to implement, right?
True, this one is complicated.
Yeah, you don't want that to be done twice in the schedule of the search or in the schedule of the booking. Because decoupling, duplicating does not necessarily mean decoupling when the things are conceptually coupled, like here. And you were telling me about my spaghetti monolith and so on, but I told you that search and bookings are coupled together. And today, they interact through method calls. If you go microservices, what it will become?
Well, network calls.
Perhaps it has the same cost than a method call.
No.
Obviously not. So you will scale the cost of the development, the deployment, the debugging, and so on. And the thing is that if you go for your microservices and you have schedule on the same way on both sides, you do the galactic time zone. You do it twice in the schedule of the search and the schedule of the booking. And what then you have to do? Release 2 microservices at the same time? Is that even permitted in the microservices philosophy?
This is not the way.
This is not the way. Because here you created something even worse. This is a distributed monolith.
Okay, I see your points. And I see that there is still a lot of coupling, but I think it's just because we haven't found the right boundaries between the search and the booking.
No. We are trying to split into services too early.
No, I have a pretty good idea on how we're going to find the right boundaries, actually.
And how?
We'll ask the intern.
Oh, not him. I don't like droids.
We have to
I don't see
supervise
the
training.
What's for?
The point is simple. We give it the boring and manual stuff, and we do the fun ones.
Like what? We give them the code to write, and our job will become creating JIRAs and estimating that in user story points?
And UML diagrams and such.
UML diagrams?
Chat3PO.
Asta, how may I be of service to you today?
Split the domains.
When was the last time you used a keyboard?
Your keyboard is weird.
It makes it when I make such a personal decision. Should I give it the chance or perhaps seek counsel from the latest gossip word? I employ that organic not be referred to as a brain.
I think I like him after all.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, but he's right. You'll never use your organic lamp as a brain.
Oh, and you're the expert on LUMP, given what you just coded.
Come on. But I have to admit you have a point. Maybe there's a way to coupling between booking and search, because they have, like you said, disjointing life cycles.
Thank you.
And once the search has been converted into a booking, we no longer care about the search.
Exactly.
They also have different lifespan, because a search lasts for 10 minutes, while a booking can last for more than 3 months. So perhaps we can do something to better modularize the software here, and perhaps our mistake was to try to do that through the concepts. Perhaps we can find the boundaries through behaviors instead.
Using behaviors to do domain-driven design, I guess this is the way.
Like you said, this is the way. So currently, all the behaviors here are implemented in our domain service named Mandalore Express.
Mandalore Express because it's the entry point of our application.
Exactly. And as you can see here, it implements several interfaces which represent the features of our application.
Right, and retrieve spaceport, search for space train, and select space train. I know these trees. They were used for the search.
Exactly. I just added the book space train here behavior. So what we can do, we can split this implementation according to these responsibilities.
Okay, and these features, where are they defined?
So those things are interfaces. They are basically contracts of our features, and they are all in the API package at the top level of the domain here.
Okay, so it's pretty easy to start. We just have to move book space train into a microservice and the rest into a search microservice.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's try to do that in place in different modules, see if they are really decoupled to avoid becoming distributed monolith.
Sure, if you want.
Okay, so we have seen for the responsibilities, but also here, there are some dependencies. Those dependencies are, in fact, repositories. This is how to interact with the persistence, and I just added here the bookings repository, and I know it's only used for the book space train feature.
Okay, and where are these repositories defined?
So those are interfaces, but that time in the API package of the domain. But those things are implemented by infrastructure layer of the application we won't see today.
Okay, so it's pretty easy as well, I guess, as well. We just have to move booking and its stub into the booking domain and the rest into the search domain.
Yeah, we can do that. So SHA-3PO creates here two new domains, booking and search, and split Mandalore Express according to what we just have defined.
Although we can't keep naming it Mandalore Express, so we have to have maybe Space Train Booker in the booking and...
Space Train Finder in the search.
Yeah, that works.
Another opportunity to dazzle the universe with my brilliance.
I had no idea it had a voice mode.
Yeah, it's pretty handy, but you will see he's really full of himself. But here, we have now booking and search modules, right? Mm-hmm. In which we have the book space train feature contract, the bookings repository definition, and the space train booker. That was Mandalore Express, but cleaned up from the responsibilities of the search. Okay. On the other side, we have the search with all the features you told before, mm-hmm. which is spaceport and so on. The search repositories and Space Train Finder, that was Mandalore Express, but cleaned up from the booking responsibilities that time.
Okay, so we've been dispatching all the behaviors, and I think we're done with that, so we can move on to the most obvious concepts now.
Yeah, so it's quite obvious what we have to do. SHA-3PO move booking and search in their own domain.
Bring the size of a planet, and they ask me to move some files around.
That's your ego that has the size of a planet.
No, come on, it's not that bad. Something I could have said.
I don't want to know. But okay, so here we have booking and search in their own domain. But what you can see here, between those new domains, we still have some concepts like criteria, selection, and so on. And we have to figure out where they need to go, because this is still our spaghetti monolith outside. But to discover that, let's take one of the main concepts. Here, for example, booking. See its dependencies to make a decision on where they have to go. And here, for example, we have the space train, which is inside our between our domains here. Mm-hmm. And so we should do something about it.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious what we have to do with the space train as well, because I already showed you what it will look like in the case of a booking.
Okay, so if I remember, SHA-3PO, duplicate and specialize space train in each domain, but in the booking, make sure it doesn't have any bound, a single fare, and no compatible space train.
Annex even have fingers.
Oh, you'll see mine from really close if you keep this up.
No, you're not allowed to eat droids, you know that. We said
Boring.
that. Okay. But here, you can see we no longer have space train here between our domains. In the search, we should have one that looks like what we used to have, because it was made for the search. And in the booking, we have a new one, which looks like the specialization you showed us before.
And more importantly, we can see that the model of the booking is now rid of the model tension.
The code does not compile.
This stupid droid is making us lose time more than winning any. Like, obviously here we're doing this to get rid of this one model tension. You know what, I think SHA-3PO has no idea what we're doing, so I'll try to explain it a bit. So, we agree that we cannot know exactly the right boundaries between search and booking this way, so we'll go through behaviors in order to find them better. Our behaviors are implemented in the Mandalore Express domain service, so we start by splitting this between the Space Train Finder and the Space Train Booker. This shows that obviously search and booking are each used in their own domain, so we dispatch them as well. And each of them is using space train in a different way, because for the search, a space train has multiple fare options, while for the booking, it has a single fare that was already selected. So we duplicate and specialize the space train in each domain. Saying it like this makes me realize, actually, the model tension is truly on the fare, because on one side we have a fare option, and on the other side we have a selected fare. So let's duplicate and rename it to show that.
Okay, why not? So here, the fare is there, so in the spaghetti monolith. So if I understand what you want, SHA-3PO duplicate and specialize fare, but rename it fare option in the search, and selected fare in the booking.
Getting so bored.
Oh, if you think this is dull, I'm sending you to API planning.
No, it's even worse. Now it's considered as torture. You cannot send droids here.
True, if we can't hit them, we definitely cannot do that.
So now you can see that in the search we have fare option. Inside the booking we have a selected fare. But looks like it's not because they have the same structure that they are the same thing. It's like having a human class with a name attribute as a string and a duck class with a name attribute as a string. Maybe you don't want to consider they are the same thing.
Exactly. It's not because it quacks like a duck that it is a duck.
Unless you're doing some TypeScript, but
Oh, we have a real language here.
this,
That's not
this
a
is
problem.
another story. Okay, so I think we are done with the space train, and the next concept here is the schedule.
And I think we're running in circles.
Yeah, it's true that schedule has to remain the same between both search and booking. But I may have one option here.
What do you have in mind?
What's about using one concept, one pattern of domain-driven design, which is the shared kernel?
No.
Why not?
I mean, if you have a shared kernel, it means you're sharing code. If you're sharing code, you can go microservices.
But that's the point. We won't do microservices.
We just had this discussion.
No, this is not what we said. We said that if we were able to have decoupled modules, we'll go to separate services. But here, there are so many things that stay the same for both of them. The schedule, but also we've seen that already, the amount, the comfort class, the currency, and the price. So if you split it too early, you will create a distributed monolith.
Let's just do as you want then, okay.
Okay, so SHA-3PO create here a shared kernel at the same level than booking in search by putting all the concepts that are the same inside it.
Of nothing better to do.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
Okay, he's just trolling us. So here we have the shared kernel with every concept that should be the same between search and booking. And now if you go to the space train of the search, you can see that the schedule comes from that shared kernel.
Sure.
And if you go to the space train here of the booking, the schedule comes as well from the shared kernel. So there's no unnecessary duplication because the test as well has been coded once, and you have still some flexibility here.
Yeah,
without
sure.
paying the scale cost of the microservices because we don't need that here.
Great, great. But go on, you didn't even finish what you were trying to do.
What do you mean?
I mean, look, outside you've left criteria, you've left selection, you've left your spaceport, you've even left the bound. Come on, just go on, put everything in the shared kernel like you were trying to do it. You think I don't see what you're doing here?
What do you mean?
You're recreating your big ball of mud, you just put it in a folder that you call shared kernel.
But not at all, man. This is not what I'm doing. You're just stupid as this droid. You don't understand what we are doing so far.
It's not very clear. You don't explain very well.
Yeah. Because you want to go microservices. So, but I will explain that in another way. So let's take the booking and let's see from where it takes its concept. Here, space train comes from the booking domain. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But price comes from the shared kernel because it shares that price with the search domain, right? If we go to the space train here, the concept comes from either the shared kernel or the booking, like schedule and selected fare. And the selected fare here only takes concept from the shared kernel.
Yes.
So we just went through all the concept needed for the booking. And at no time you've seen any mention of criteria, selection, and so on. Because the booking does not need them. If you put that in the shared kernel, you will just reproduce the problem I had at the beginning, where I was reusing a space train with multiple fare when the search doesn't need it.
Exactly. And when we're coding the booking, if we have a solution that was made for the search in our hand, we'll be strongly biased toward reusing this solution, causing coupling between the two.
Exactly. You will reproduce the big ball of mud, but through the shared kernel. So in fact,
prefer this.
SHA-3PO moved all the remaining concepts in the search because they were made for that.
The IntelliJ do what he said.
I didn't know IntelliJ has that kind of feature.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
So here you can see that we finish with something really clean with the booking, the search, and the shared kernel.
I have to admit I'm not sure where each concept went.
Okay. Looks like you don't understand code, so let's do some drawings.
Thank you.
Okay. So you see that amount, price, schedule, comfort class, and currency, they have to be the same between search and booking. So we put them apart. But pound, criteria, and selection, they were made for the search, so we put them here on that left module. And what remains in between constitutes our shared kernel, which represents the intersection between our domains.
And more than that, it represents the area of uncertainty, where we believe that the boundary between our domain lies, but we're not sure exactly where yet.
Exactly. But still, we have here some flexibility, because later, if we discover that we need character and bound in the booking, the same way it has been defined in the search, you simply have to move all those things in the shared kernel with a related test without unnecessary duplication.
I have to admit it's not so bad, but our job here is not done. There is some compilation error, especially on the space train booker. So
OK, let's see that.
Yep. Space train booker, here it is. Oh, here's the error. Right, it needs a space train from the booking, and it got a space train from the search. So I'm pretty sure it is Droid who didn't change the imports. Yeah, right here. This should be booking one. Oh, more errors. Right.
Yeah, we changed the structure of the space train for the booking, so...
So we no longer need bound, we no longer need compatible space train here, and we say that we wanted here to have a selected fare. Nice. Send that to production, chat3PO. Wait a second. We're in the booking here, right?
Yes.
Why do we have the search? It means we're contaminating the booking with potentially anything that comes from the search.
But that's the reason why I didn't split all those things at the beginning. I told you they are way too coupled. We are running in circles there. But now I have the code, I can explain you why. So here, you see the booking. To create a booking, you need to make sure that the selection inside the search is complete before creating that booking.
So you're protecting the booking from states of the search that are not compatible.
Exactly. And then we want to convert the selected space train from the search to the space train of the booking because their structure has changed.
Or in other words, you want to translate the model of the search into a model of the booking.
You decided to paraphrase me today or what?
You really don't see what I'm getting at?
Not at all.
Okay, then let's go back to the drawing board. So as you can see, you've created a direct dependency between the booking and the search, which means that you're contaminating the booking with potentially anything that comes from the search. And all this because you wanted to translate a search space train into a booking space train. You're trying to create an anti-corruption layer here.
So it's a good thing, right? Why are you yelling at me like that?
I mean, it's a good thing when it does prevent corruption, which is not the case here. So if you want to do that, you have to externalize the anti-corruption layer outside of the booking where it can safely import the search.
And how you do that?
Easy, you ask the intern.
Oh, okay.
Okay, chat3PO, extract the anti-corruption layer. Hey, chat3PO, extract the ACL.
I think it doesn't recognize your authority.
I'm pretty sure it's a Mandalorian accent thing.
Let me try. Chat3PO, extract the anti-corruption layer.
Could I possibly resist an opportunity to perform another menial task for... Okay, wait. I questioned an anti-corruption there, relocated the test, having thefted the infrastructure.
This is what I call authority.
Yeah, and I guess droids can understand culture.
Yeah, I think they're really afraid about form dot, but it's good to know. So let's see what it has done.
So we no longer have any dependency toward the search, only in the booking, so that's pretty good, and that's because we don't actually call the search here, we only have its UID.
But how does it work? Because we still need to check that the selection is complete inside that search.
And we do, right here. It's just that now we do it through a dependency that is given to the space train booker, in the same way that we still translate the model of the search into a model of the booking.
But what are those things? Is selection complete? Okay, this is an interface where it has been defined in the SPI of the booking. So it means that the booking defines a contract that someone else will implement for him to offer him a service.
Exactly.
But who is that someone else here?
Well, unlike the traditional SPI, which are implemented in some infrastructure layers, this one is implemented outside of the booking, but in a domain module called the anti-corruption layer. And because it's outside of the booking, it means it can import both concepts from the search and the interfaces that it wants to implement from the booking.
Okay, so if I understand well, is there that now we have our conversion from the booking and the search?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that since it implements the SPI of the booking, we will be able to inject an instance of that in the space train booker without contaminating it with the search concept because it's used here in the implementation internally. This is dependency injection, in fact.
Exactly. So now we have the booking, our search, their shared kernel, and an anti-corruption layer for the communication. So we end up exactly looking like this diagram. Although our shared kernel is still here, so what should we do about this?
The thing is that for now, I think we don't have enough hypotheses to know what we should do about it. And we must accept that the boundaries between our domains are blurry for now. But anyway, you will have to wait. We have some urgent feature to develop.
And when was the last time we had non-urgent feature to develop?
You know product owners, right?
Yep.
So here, we remember the booking summary page. We have to add the tax portion computation, the tax portion that belongs here to the total price. Without this information, it's really annoying for our corporate travelers because they cannot expense their trip.
Boring accounting features. You know what? We could turn that into a learning opportunity.
Okay, let's try. So SHA-3PO implement the tax portion computation, but only in the booking domain because we don't care about it in the search, by applying a 20% rate for the first class and 10% for the second class fare.
Oh, and obviously it means that if you touch the shared kernel, I will sell you in parts to Javas.
So I'm mistaken me with your genius and I'm commenting in the selected pair of the booking. Seem compatible instructions exception.
Did it crash?
I don't remember wishing for that.
So he said that it was in the selected fare of the booking, right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, the code does not even compile. What's going on?
It's weird because actually it makes sense from a business logic perspective, because to compute the tax portion of the selected fare, it gets the tax portion of the price based on the tax rate of the comfort class. This makes sense. Let's just go and implement it. I don't know why it bugged like this.
Oh, wait. He did the job, but he put that in comment.
I'm done trying to understand this droid, honestly. Let's just do that. Add the import. I'll trust it for the implementation.
Ah, wait. I think I understand why it just crashed.
Why?
You remember you said you should not touch the shared kernel?
I mean, obviously, I don't want it to contaminate the search.
Here, you just imported tax rate and tax portion, and both of them, I think, yes, they came from the booking domain, as you can see here, inside the price, which belongs to the shared kernel. So you just contaminated the shared kernel with booking concern. And because the search is using that price, you just couple the search with the booking.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what it has to do right now, right? Do we have to tell everything to this droid?
I mean, even with the AI, I think we have to make the implicit explicit. But the thing is that there's also one other compilation error here with the tax rate on the comfort class. So let's see what's going on. Okay, looks like it tried to do the mapping between the tax rate and the comfort class. But the thing is, this is the same story. Tax rate comes from the booking domain, and the comfort class belongs to the shared kernel. So SHA-3PO here, this is a model attention. You cannot put business concern, booking concern in the shared kernel, otherwise you will couple the search with the booking. So it's now time to specialize comfort class and price in a way that their version of the booking are the only one having the tax portion computation.
I'm just a bit more useful than a Scrum Master. How extraordinary.
No. We said that you cannot troll the Scrum Master. This is really bad.
Why would you say something so brave yet so controversial?
But okay, let's see what he has done. Mean droids. So here in the shared kernel, we no longer have any price, any comfort class. In the search here, we should have a version of the comfort class without tax rate mapping. In the price, there is no tax portion computation. And in the booking, here we have a new version of the comfort class with the mapping, and the tax portion computation should be in its version of the price.
Yeah, and we have a beautiful compilation error right here, because this droid didn't understand that amount is a record. So obviously you need to implement the times function. Well, pretty easy here. We just need to multiply the amount by the tax ratio. And we're done. Send that to production, SHA-3PO.
But I think it doesn't really understand what we are doing so far, so let's supervise a bit more its learning. So here, we created a new behavior, which is the tax portion computation in the booking, which introduced new concept, tax rate and tax portion. But those concepts put kind of tension on the price in the comfort class in the shared kernel, because they need to evolve to take them into account. But we cannot put it there. Otherwise, we will contaminate the shared kernel with booking concern, and we will couple the search with the booking through that shared kernel. So it's now time to specialize those concepts in a way that their version of the booking are the only one having the tax portion computation.
Nice. So now our shared kernel has been shrinking. That's pretty cool. Is that the fire alarm?
I'm not sure.
Enough. Alert. The last release introduced a bug in production. Our travelers cannot open past bookings. I was able to reproduce the problem. I'm opening the front end on one problematic booking. Congratulations. You just demonstrated that organics are not yet ready to replace artificial intelligences.
What are you talking about? You're the one who messed up the deployment. The code was fine.
What a drama droid. Okay, so if I understand well, we are not able to open past bookings. This is annoying for our corporate travelers because they cannot expand these bookings. If we do so, here we have an error that said departure cannot be in the past. So let's see in the code where is coming this message, from where it's coming. So, OK, looks like it comes from the schedule. It's true that here we have an invariant that makes sure that the departure time is always in the future, but doesn't make sense when this is a past booking.
Well, well, well. How's the turntables? I told you we had to duplicate and specialize the schedule.
OK, but when you told that, we didn't need to open past bookings and we didn't have any expand features. But now you have a point, and we need to do something about it. But it's a bit tricky, right? Because still, you don't want to search train in the past. And on the booking, you don't want to book train in the past. But once finalized, we should allow trains to depart from, not in the future.
So what you mean here is that this invariant no longer depends on the schedule only in the case of the booking. So in this case, we should move it to the booking class itself.
Yeah, because it depends on the state of the booking, yes.
Exactly.
So SHA-3PO, here, this is a model attention, which is a bit more subtle on the invariant. It's not time to duplicate and specialize schedule in a way that in the booking, you check that departure is in the future only if this is not finalized.
This project clearly lies on my shoulders.
Oh, my headache lies on your shoulder.
He just changed his profile picture, right?
I'm sure it's nothing.
You sure?
Yeah, most likely.
OK, so the schedule disappeared from the shared canal here. We have one in the search that is like we used to have, makes sense. And we should have one in the booking that no longer check that trains in the part in the future.
But since it depends on the state of the booking now, we should have a new one in the booking. And we do. Has no departure in the past when you're booking. And we're checking either that the booking is finalized or else that all the space train are departing in the future. So we're good for this invariant. Let's send that to production and let me explain to this droid what it did wrong again. So SHA-3PO, you introduced a new model tension on the schedule. This time it was a bit difficult to see because it's a model tension on the invariant, which means that the state of the schedule that are acceptable in the search are not the same ones that are acceptable in the booking. So we need to duplicate and specialize the schedule on each side. Pretty simple, it's always the same solution. What should we do with this residue of shared kernel though, because we still can go to microservices?
But we said already that we won't do microservices.
Yeah, but I think the situation has changed. As you can see, since we introduced the booking, it's getting pretty popular, but the number of searches is growing even faster.
Yeah, it's true that our users do 10 searches to find the space trains they want to book.
Exactly, and we have very different rates of read and write in booking and search. If we had two different microservices for these two, we could optimize them differently and save a lot of money doing some FinOps. But on top of this, there is also the number of code changes deployed at domains that's very different recently in the booking and search. We mostly change the booking nowadays.
Yeah, it's true that booking is new, so this is where we have our feature pressure. So what you imply is that since we are modifying the application more for the booking than the search, we may introduce some change that will create an outage, that the search will no longer work while we didn't change it at all.
Yes. So
what?
So we need to go microservices, you agree?
OK, so I have to admit that now we have business reason to have separated services, but I won't say microservice because you will argue about is then 10 or 11 line of code a microservice.
What a stupid debate, everybody knows it's 50.
50?
So what should we do about this residue of shared kernel here, because we still can go to separate runtimes?
OK, so let's see what we can do with the code. So let's clean these things a bit. And here in the shared kernel, we have left the amount and the currency. Oh, there's something here. You see, tax ratio. It should not be there. That belongs to the booking domain.
There's no import from the booking. Look, it's just a big decimal here.
Yeah, it's true. We don't import a class from the booking side. But still, tax ratio is an element of the language of the booking. So this is still a conceptual pollution. Furthermore, we introduce the times function only for the tax portion computation. So we can also duplicate and specialize amount in a way that each version of the booking is the only one having the times function here.
All right, so this will leave us only with the currency then.
OK, so the currency doesn't have enough, a lot of complexity. There's no business logic there. And also, we won't change that a lot. We don't change that every day. So I think we can take the trade-off to duplicate it as it, because I think the risk to have a distributed monolith because of that is pretty low.
Exactly. If we have to add or remove one line from currency on both microservices once in a while, I think we'll survive.
But maybe there is another option.
What do you have in mind?
So let's go back to the state where amount and currencies are together in the shared kernel. But instead of having tax ratio there, let's say this is scalar.
Well, you do get rid of the conceptual pollution, but you said it yourself. The times function here is only used in the case of the booking. If you leave it in the amount, it's like we're using the amount like a library. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but that's a bit the point. Because from the perspective of the amount, having arithmetic operation makes sense. We have here plus, minus, time, and we could have also divide. But that's not the only point. Because what's left in the shared kernel is amount and currency together, and they are always used together. Sometimes together they represent a price, sometimes together they represent a discount, and sometimes they represent a tax.
I see your point. This is actually the money pattern.
Exactly.
Okay, which means that we have no longer a shared kernel. We only have the search and the bookings. They communicate through an anti-corruption layer. And we have a third completely different domain in the money.
So in fact, what was remaining inside the shared kernel was a domain by itself. And to know what you should do about it, you can do a context map. So we won't have time to explain you what this is, but if you do so, you will discover that money is what we call generic subdomain. It means that this is not really something specific to our needs. It's true that we are an online travel company. We don't have any specific way to represent an amount or a currency. So it means that we can get rid of that code and use instead an off-the-shelf open source library like Yoda Money.
Exactly. And since it's no longer a shared kernel, but it's its own domain, we won't be tempted to put search or booking concern in this library, which means that they only communicate through the anti-corruption layer now. So they're decoupled enough to go to microservices.
That was a pretty long stand-up, right?
42 minutes, that's pretty standard by my book.
No. And we were the first ones. They all have to pass and say what they did yesterday, what they will do today.
Yeah, no offense, I really don't care who ate what and who has to modify which line of CSS. But you know, they could hear the great architect talk, and maybe we should make sure that everybody can grasp this conversation.
Oh, you're as full of yourself than this Roy. It looks like he was trained on your brain.
You noticed?
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that story. But OK, so maybe from this discussion, you have seen that some pattern has emerged. That looks like a cellular mitosis.
I mean, if you squint a bit, I guess.
If you squint a lot. But like George Box said, all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. And this one is particularly useful when you start with an application that has one responsibility, or is an MVP. And as the time passes, you had more and more behaviors, until one day you had a new responsibility that can be a bit orthogonal with the first purpose of your application. And that will create some tension on the existing concepts that will try to solve the jointed problem at the same times. If you leave it that way, it will sclerose and become a spaghetti, right? So it's not time to create modules and differentiate what you have by dispatching behaviors. You will see that some concepts will go on the side, some other on the other, and what will remain in between will constitute our traditional shared kernel.
As we say, the shared kernel represents the area of uncertainty where we believe that the boundary between our model is, but we're not sure yet where. So as we add more complexity, we'll be able to place this boundary a bit better, which means that the shared kernel will shrink and elements will go out. Thus, the transitional shared kernel.
Yeah, but the shared kernel is not utils or a common package. Here, you only put concepts from the domain. But there are also some rules. Everything inside the shared kernel must have exactly the same meaning, functional meaning, the same representation regarding structure and types, the same invariance, meaning the business logic that has to be always true when you do a change of that concept, and all the business rules.
And you may have 2, 3, 4, 5 more domains sharing the same shared kernel. So you need to make sure that these rules are true for every single domain or module
that uses the shared kernel.
Exactly. So if you have multiple teams sharing a shared kernel, it means every time you're going to modify it, you need to first check with everybody that you don't break these rules. So you end up coupling your cognitive load with the one of other teams.
So that's why we discourage using a shared kernel between teams.
No, we have these rules so we can use them as heuristics to detect the moments where we need to take something out of the shared kernel, because as we will add complexity on one side or the other, we'll be tempted for the simple implementation to change the shared kernel in a way that goes against one of these rules. When this happens, it means there is a model tension. So we need to duplicate and specialize what was in the shared kernel outside to one of the domains. to both
But
domains.
keep in mind that when you specialize the concept from the shared kernel, maybe the meaning will change. For example, we used to have the fare that became a fare option on the search and a selected fare on the booking.
Exactly. Now, this is a recursive, an iterative approach. So we add more complexity, we discover more model tensions, and the solution is always the same. We duplicate, we specialize. Eventually, we reach a stable point where we have a residual shared kernel that just won't go away.
But this is totally fine, because what you just created is called a modular monolith. And you won't pay the scale cost of microservices if you don't need them. This is pretty flexible and pretty clean.
Although sometimes you do have business reasons to go microservices. And I want to put Kubernetes on my resume just to make it clear, is not a business reason to go microservices. When this happens, you can just duplicate your residual shared kernel and put it on both domains.
But do that only if what remains is stable, doesn't have a lot of complexity. Otherwise, you may create a distributed monolith.
Just like when we had only the currency left.
Exactly. And even if you are able to have differentiated models like that, you don't have to go for microservices if you don't have any reason to have separate runtimes. And sometimes, instead of shrinking, you will see that the shared kernel will grow in complexity by adding here more and more behaviors and more concepts. That might be the sign that this is a hidden domain, and a context map can help you to know if you have to deal it to manage it as a library, its own service, or integrate it in one or the other domain here.
Okay, so that's pretty good for the domains, but how about the RESTs? The REST APIs, the database, pretty much everything in the infrastructure layer. We haven't seen how to split that.
Okay, so in fact, there is another pattern that will help us to organize all the infrastructure, like you said. And maybe we can take another hour to talk about that. So this is the Hive pattern.
You guys have time, right?
Yeah. So it was coined by Thomas Pierrin, and the aim of the Hive pattern...
Sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
He called me Dave?
Weird.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Okay, that's scary. So let's kill that droid. Okay, I think we won't see the Hive pattern today. But thank you very much. I'm Julien Josian. I'm a VP Tech of Shadow French consultancy company, specialized in domain-driven design and software craftsmanship.
And I'm Julien Chevalier. I'm a tech coach in Shadow as well.
And if you want to have access to the code, you can scan this QR code here. And yeah, maybe we have time for one question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any question? No? No, it's okay. I mean, if sorry? No, it's okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you.